So let's get this meeting started. First of all, today's a Helpful Village release webinar where we are announcing improvements of the software and new features that we have developed over the last month. There is another webinar next week on Wednesday at the same time that we do with the Village to Village network. That is more of a Q&A, questions and answers, and easier to answer your questions next week. This week is pretty much us announcing the improvements to the software. You know that there is a few links. There is a link for submitting improvement requests. There's the email address for our support system, and there's a Google Drive where we have our training docs. So with this, we can move on and go to the agenda. So on the agenda, we start with some news we want to share with you, let you know more about new documents and videos we have done this last month. There is a strategic discussion and overview, and then there is a current release notes, is the improvements that have been done over this last month. The last point on the agenda is the March priorities. What will we be working next? So that's the agenda for this call, and I can start with the news. The news is that we are happy to welcome a new village to the Helpful Village group. It's Viva Placidas in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So they could not make it to the call today, but I wanted to welcome them to our Villages group. This is the V2V webinar next week, so don't put that on your calendar so that you can join us for a discussion next week also. And these are the new training docs that have been created this month. I'm trying to minimize so basically Kian, my colleague, created a new or updated a document about how to configure memberships, and then added to the folder of interest groups and Village Talk some training docs for Village Talk and the interest groups synchronization. So they're already available on Google Drive. So basically you can click on this link for the HV Google Drive, and that will take you to our training docs and training videos. Okay, so now this is where we're starting. The fun part is we wanted to start here a strategic discussion so that you understand how did the new features came to exist on Helpful Village. And so this is how we were thinking. So you all know what a village is, right? But we're thinking that the villages are very useful to different people. First of all, they are valuable to the member, right? Like members sign up for a village membership because they benefit from it. But that's not the only beneficiary of a village. We believe that the village adds value to the community, and that's why basically the federal government is now giving grants through a program that you probably know, Volunteer Care Corps, where basically they are funding organizations like Villages that are volunteer-based organizations serving older adults. So that's a recognition that the village is valuable to the community. Something that I will be discussing deeper today is basically what's the value to your city. So we know of several villages that have great relationships with their mayor, with their age-friendly organization, with their senior center, or their AAA. And this is something that is quite interesting, and we will be discussing some of the features that we offer that could be interesting to those people. In particular, we'll be talking about emergency preparedness. What does a village do when there is a major problem or emergency situation in your city? And then how can you discuss that with your mayor? So let's decompose these different value propositions. Like, how is the village valuable to the member? I will go very quickly there because you're familiar with this. This is my mom, and basically she is she benefits from different services from the village. She gets services from volunteers and professionals that allow her to age in place. She can participate in events. She can have a purposeful life because she's supporting her local community, and she has a great sense of belonging because she's part of the village family. In addition to that, we discussed last month the possibility to join an interest group within the village and participate in conversation through Village Talk. So that's why members, really like being, a village member, I believe. And this is kind of some print screens about how these things work. So you're all familiar with the list of service requests for services, with events, and this print screen for village conversations. Now, so that's what the benefits to the member. This is the value proposition for the federal government. I presume you all know about this, but basically the Trump administration is giving $3.7 million in grants this year for innovative models, which, with local grassroots that assist family caregivers. So basically for me, this is definition for a village. So there's a website that you should visit, and basically every village can, I believe, apply for a grant through this website. I know B2B is organizing a webinar to give you more information, but I think this is a great resource. I mean, villages are doing a great job, and I believe this would be the best use of this federal money. So I encourage all villages to have a look at this federal program. But this is what we're not going to discuss this today. What I'm more interested in today is discussing this at the local level. So basically, what's the value of your village to your city? And when I say the city, it's just short for different organizations locally, being the county, the senior center, the AAA, the age-friendly. I have discussed, last time I went to Massachusetts, I discussed with a grant maker, people that give, foundation that gives money to nonprofits. And one of the things they didn't like about villages is that they were saying that sometimes they were not fully integrated with the local resources, and that sometimes we're duplicating services, which I'm not sure is true. But basically, what I learned that day is that I think it's a good idea to go meet with these different organizations, county, senior center, AAA, or age-friendly cities, so that villages can explain them how they're valuable to the community, I believe. So here's where I bring basically a picture. This picture is actually the current 2 mayors of Salt Lake. So Erin Mendenhall is mayor of Salt Lake City, and Jenny Wilson is actually the mayor of the county of Salt Lake. Which is, I just wanted to show you their faces because I want to show you basically how, hypothetically, or if we put ourselves in a shoe, this is how I would go talk to them and explain them why the village is important for the city of Salt Lake. And there's no village in Salt Lake, so this is just a hypothetical or example that you can apply for your eventually for your local authorities or your own mayor, right? So this is how I would engage this conversation, right? First of all, what I would say is, well, dear mayor, we are a village, and a village is essentially a group of older adults that care about each other. We're just this great community of older adults in our city. And not only that, basically, we're already doing plenty of things for the city. We have a great impact, in particular, through these numbers. So we think the impact of each village should be measured, and so that you can present that to your local authorities. So we are working currently, not on this release, but probably for next month's release, on what we call an impact report, which is basically a quick way for you with one click to produce a report that is going to show these kind of metrics, like how many members you're helping, how many volunteers, how many hours have you been working last year, how many events, how many events have been attended by people, services that have been provided, kind of all these metrics that are important is what we call an impact report that will be ready a month from now. I mean, we're already working on it. The second aspect that we believe is essential for your city, something that I would discuss with the mayor, is the following, is the emergency plan. And this is not something we invented at Helpful Village. It's actually mostly villages from California in the Bay Area. After the fire situation, there were power outages, and several villages are already setting up emergency plans so that they can help and support their members when there's an emergency situation. So and we have been working with them on this one. So we thank them for their feedback and basically input. Now let's go back to the discussion with the mayor, right? So we are this organization supporting so many members and volunteers and doing all these great things. And when sometimes in our region, we have some emergencies of different nature. So this is not just wine wasting emergency, but this is a picture of an earthquake in California. But it can be a storm in Cape Cod, or a fire situation. But in all of these cases is things that have been happening these last few years. And when that happens, basically the local resources, the fire department, the police department are obviously busy, taking care of a ton of things. If it's fallen trees or an earthquake, you can imagine that they're busy. So basically, we believe there is an interesting pitch from the village to the mayor, which is saying, well, when all this happens, the first responders are busy, but we can offer a service to the cities that we can take care of, of our members and our, older adults population. And for that, we have been working on an emergency plan. And this is where I'm introducing to you kind of a new feature that we added to Helpful Village this month. is, this emergency plan, which is a way for you to talk to the mayor and say, well, this is Salt Lake City, and this is our plan to manage our emergency situations. Is something that we're already doing for our members. We would appreciate maybe, a collaboration with the city. And obviously, I don't know your mayor. It's just an opportunity you have, but it's something I really believe is interesting. I'll show a demo of this emergency plan later today. So for now, you'll have to wait about this new feature, but there will be a live demo later on this presentation. Before I go to the most exciting demo, which is this service area, I'm gonna start showing you the release notes. It's basically all the improvements we have added this month on different topics, and I will finish the meeting with this emergency plan improvements we have done this month. So as usual, I'm showing the release notes today, but these improvements will only be on the server for all villages on February 22nd and 23rd, which is Saturday and Sunday this week. Okay, let me just get this a little smaller here so that it's not in the middle of my screen. Basically, we have done this month some improvements to Village Talk, in particular through a collaboration with Marin Villages and Taos Elders. So basically making it more interactive. For example, we added this box in the bottom right, where basically when you have a discussion topic, like in this case, the book club, you can look at the participants of this interest group. So you can see if there is another member that would be in the book club and can participate in this conversation. And you also have a tool that allows you to invite another member from the village that may not be in this interest group yet, but you think would be interested in joining it. So we added a few tools for more interactivity there. We also made some improvements to the editable pages editor. So this is basically the tool you use to to build and modify your web pages. And we did two improvements. First is a sticky toolbar. So basically the toolbar is where you have the buttons of the web editor. Before, you were changing your pages and you need to scroll up and then click on a button and then scroll down and then go back again to your page. I can show you a demo of this later today, but it's just easier to use. And the second improvement we did is some people reported on Slack. So there was an annoying pop-up that was, being used on the editor. So we just removed that annoying pop-up that was basically reading what each button was doing. Okay, now big piece. There are two big pieces of today's presentation. One is the events management improvement, and the second one is the emergency preparedness plan. So we're gonna go now with the events management improvements with this month, including on this month's release. But for that, I need to change. It's on a separate file, so it's here. So long list of improvements to events management this month that is listed here. So basically, this is a long list, and we'll go one by one in detail with print screens in 2 minutes. So basically, just let's go with one by one. So first one is the participants list. So when you have an event and people have been registering for that event, people register online, let's say, and then on the day of the event, you want to know who was actually there. So on the top of the screen, you see what you have today on your village website, right? Where basically you have the name of these different people, and then you click on this button, which is present, right? For each person. But that was a little bit inefficient because you needed to click on this button. Let's say if you have 70 people at your event, that it's clicking on the button 70 times, and it's recharging the page every time. So we just did that much better. So in the new version that will be released this weekend, you have a checkbox on the left. You see mark as present. And then basically you can checkbox, 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 checkbox. And then at the end, you just go down and click the button mark as present. So basically just, saving a lot of time, allowing you to record people as present. By the way, while I'm here, I wanted to let you know that it's really important to, not only allow people to register for the event, but basically click on, on this page to show who was actually present at the event. The reason is that, we are working on this impact report that you will be able to show your mayor or any other donor or any other people. But basically, the fact of showing that people actually came to the event and were present is going to be very important in that report. So you should probably start, marking people as present as of today. Okay, that was one improvement. Another great improvement that had been on our improvements list for a while, and I know several villages were waiting for this one, is that sometimes you organize an event, and this event is, well, it's just full, okay? So you have 20 spots available, the 20 were taken. So we added an improvement this month, is that now those people can click on that button that will add them to the waiting list. So they cannot register for the event, but if some people cancel, well, basically we are capturing the desire of these people to, basically to attend. So if there are some free spots that become available, we can take people from the waiting list. So I think this functionality is quite obvious, but it's, I believe, super interesting. By the way, let me slow down a little bit because I wanted to let you know, because I muted everybody, so I don't hear the feedback. But and I'm not reading the chat, so at any moment, if someone has a question, please do not hesitate to unmute yourself and interrupt my presentation, because I think it's much better when it's a discussion. In the meantime, let me continue with this other improvement we did this month. When people were registering for an event, right? Let's say a member in a household, well, they can log in, they click on register for this event, and then they sign up. But basically what they were doing before is that they had to add someone as a guest. Let's say my wife as a guest, or my mom as a guest, etc. But actually, we know in Helpful Village how to manage associated memberships. And quite often, if you're attending to an event, you're attending with the other associated member. So as you can see here on the left, when you're going through the registration process, we now made it very easy to register, obviously yourself, but also any of the associated members you have. You obviously, click on that checkbox if this person is coming, and then register for this event. And the result for that is that when you click on that checkbox, well, then basically it will add 2 registrations to the event. So the Christopher and then Kian, which is in this case the 2 associated members. There is another added benefit to this, is that because now it's a full registration, not only, before the guest was only, people that were coming with you or something, but this is a full registration. So the event participation will be recorded in all members, profiles. So it's just much better. If you look at the, past activity of a member, you will see that both husband and wife participated in this event. So this is another great improvement. Another improvement we added this month is that before we were allowing kind of duplicates for registration, right? If you go in and I register for this event and then I go back in again and then I register, well, then I could have a duplicate. Now we just forbid that. You can only register once for each event. Cutoff date. So this is also entirely new. This is a print screen of the editing page of the event. So we already had the when the event was happening and when the event was finishing. What is new here is the registration deadline. So let's say that in this example, we have an event tomorrow, but the registration deadline is the very last time where an anonymous person, or any other person that is not an admin, can register someone for an event, right? So that's a cutoff date that you can manage when you're creating your events. Okay, admin can delete comments on an event. So when you're creating an event, basically people can comment on it. Sometimes it's people asking questions or what are they bringing and allowing. Oops, I think there is a question. So did someone come in?
Yes. Hi, I'm Marilyn. I'm with a group that's looking into your software. Mm-hmm. And I was looking a few slides back. You made a comment about the ability to register other associated members to the event as opposed to a guest. Yes, that's correct. And on the left-hand side where you have circled Mr. or Ms. Bremer's name, mm-hmm. Is that the member who's associated with the person signed on, or is that list all registered associated members?
Yeah, thank you, Marilyn. This is a great question. So basically, obviously, it's more obvious when you're doing it yourself, but the person registering is on top. You see, it's Christopher. And then Christopher is the person that is logged in and registering for an event. And then Christopher is on an associated membership with Kian Bremer. So that's why when Christopher is registering, he sees the option of adding Kian to the event registration.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marilyn. It's great that you interrupt me because it makes me, slow down and make sure that everyone is understanding what I'm explaining. Perfect. So we can move on. We have this one. We did the cutoff date together, and admin can delete comments on an event. So this is, when you're creating an event, you can have people commenting on that event, sharing how excited they are, or maybe asking questions, or if it's a potluck, maybe saying what they're going to bring or something. So that we really like the fact that it engages conversation. But sometimes, someone wrote a comment that doesn't really make sense. You already had the possibility to hide this comment because, maybe you don't consider it's appropriate or for some reason. But we thought it was also good to have a delete this comment button, because sometimes just the comment just makes no sense, and even hiding is not enough. We just, the admins want to delete it. So that's not possible. The other possibility that we added is that for each event, when you're editing it, you now have the possibility to enable or disable comments. So sometimes you may say, well, for each comment, for each type of event, I can say, well, I like this event to be, allow comments on it, or for some reason is an event I don't want to enable comments on it. So you can now choose. Okay, this is another improvement, which is when you are editing an event, right? You have the possibility to say who is attending. So basically, if it's public and open to all, or if only accessible to members, or only accessible to members and volunteers, different options. And then there is another thing, which is basically how, if RSVP is required. And there is a couple of options there. One is, no RSVP, just people can come and show up. And then there is another option, which is the RSVP required, which is the possibility to add a registration button on that event, right? And then that will allow people to register for that event. And this option existed before. What's new on the new release is that this is now a default setting. So now by default, when you're creating a new event, it will be RSVP required. If you don't like that default, don't worry, because you can go to the config area of Helpful Village and you can define a different default per village, right? So if you're in a village where basically you never do registration for events because, I don't know, people just show up, you can change that default on your settings. But for other villages, basically the default will be RSVP required. Okay, this is another great feature, but I don't have a print screen here. It's basically, I could almost go and show how this one works. But basically, when you're logged in as an admin, right? And then you have on the phone, let's say Barack Obama, and Barack Obama wants to come to your event, right? So what you would do before, let's do it. Let's go there. Let's do the live demo. Events, event list. And we have different events. Open to all. Let's have first book club meeting. Not this one. Let me try another one. Hiking in the forest. Okay, so 8 spots available. So this is good. I'm already registered. There are some comments that people have written on this event. But basically what I want to show you is here on the attendance list, right? So here on the attendance list, I'm logged in as an admin, right? So I'm able to come here and say, well, I want to search a person. For example, here, if I want to add my friend, Colin, right? I can search it. I can select it. And now, this event has 3 participants. So there is me, there is Kian, and there is Colin, right? But sometimes, now we just got a phone call and we got Barack. Not even sure how to write Barack, but I think something like that. Search, and then there's nobody that was found. So at this point, we needed to go up here, create the new person, and then once the person is created, then add it to the registration button. And this will no longer be needed from this weekend's version. So basically, you don't need to get out of the participations list. You search Barack Obama, and then if it's not existing in the database, well, then you can immediately create it from this same screen. So it's another great improvement. Okay, so that's pretty much for the events module. So I know I'm going quite quickly today in the presentation because well, this is showtime, so we need to go fast. but obviously you'll have time. We'll make this presentation available, and then you can explore these new options when the version comes out this weekend. There is another major thing I need to tell you about is that we have a new Helpful Village billing system. So this billing system is actually the invoices that we are, as a company, sending to each village so that you can pay your monthly fees. So this has no impact on your members or volunteers or any other people. And first, I want to tell you why we did this. And the reason is that, as you know, we are billing our invoices depending on the number of members that they have. So every month, basically, we were launching some calculations about the number of members, and then we knew how many members each village had, and then we had to manually go in and copy those numbers into an external billing system. So it was kind of monkey work that we were doing, and basically, a waste of time, of our time. So now we have made this automatic, so making the process more efficient. And basically, with the new system, now you can, the invoice is going to be automatically calculated on the server, depending on the number of members. And our server is going to send your treasurer an email, right, with the invoice that needs to be paid for the next month. This is actually a print screen of the new system we developed. So basically here you see, that this is a Helpful Village invoice for January 2020. And then basically you have a description of your invoice. This is automatically calculated depending on the number of members. And then you will be able to pay on our website for your monthly fee. And then basically you will see this page. There are 3 payment options that we're offering. And this is what is going to show on the next slide. So if you want here on the drop-down box, when you want to pay the invoice, you will see 3 options. One option is ACH, Automated Clearinghouse. So basically, you can set up your bank account so that you make automatic payments with Helpful Village. For that, there is a verification process. We will deposit some cents in your bank account. You verify your bank account, and then you can choose to pay your Helpful Village invoice with your bank account if that's what you desire. Maybe your village doesn't want to use ACH, but they want to send a check by snail mail, so that's fine. You select this drop-down box, and that will show you the address where you can send your check, so that's fine too. And then there is another option, which is a credit card. So if you choose the credit card option, it's as usual. So basically you click credit card payment. There is a button. When you say pay invoice, there will be a pop-up that is inviting you to enter your email address, and then credit card information, just can pay online immediately. So we will be rolling out this new billing system for the next invoice cycle. So that's beginning of March for the February fees. So obviously, if you have questions about our new invoicing system, just let us know. But it definitely saves us time, and we have more time available to help our villages. So we're excited about this too. So are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you can say your name and your village.
This is Marilyn again. We're at Wintergreen, Virginia. We're not yet a village. We're working on it as we speak. The question on these last 2 slides, I can't help this, I'm sorry, but additional is spelled wrong. You have 2 N's.
Thank you. Have 2 N's? Yeah, that's fine.
Those things just jump out at me. Sorry.
No, thank you. And we are really grateful so that you let us know for the anecdote.
And the previous slide, I had a question about the billing amount. Now you say monthly fee price per member. Now is that total monthly fee that you're showing?
That's a total monthly fee, yeah. So it's $1 per
So that really isn't the price per member, or is that, that's the kind of fee that is?
Yeah, absolutely, kind of fee. That's what we wanted to say, but it can be said better. So first of all, maybe this is your first call, but we always appreciate this feedback, and that allows us to improve the system.
Thank you.
So the price per member, you're right, is a kind of billing we do. In the case where you're below the minimum, 50 is the minimum, if you have 12 members, well, then you would still pay 50, would say something like, well, this is a minimum fee. But
so maybe that should be in parentheses then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I can see that. how that should be made
Right.
clear.
Thank
And then
you.
here for the spelling, and this is for every village, every time you find a spelling problem, let us know. Here, there's a funny anecdote, additional. It's like, well, maybe you don't remember, but I did my college in Switzerland in French, and some of these words have two N's in French. So they, you know, it don't hurt my eyes. But obviously it's great when you can remind us so that we can spell that right. Thank you.
Manuel, I have a
Yes.
question. The $1.80 of additional fees for the credit card payment, is that a standard $1.80 or is that based on how much their bill
Good
is?
question. So that's basically, so for the fees, we are basically not making any money on these fees. We are just passing through the fees that Stripe charges us for the payment. So yes, it's dependent on the number of fees. So for the credit card, basically our fees, because we're not a nonprofit, is 2.9% plus 30 cents. So 180 is probably that of 50, I guess. If you use ACH, the fees are lower. So basically, there is a 0.8% payment fee that is added. And if you do the check, well, then there is no fee. So basically, if you had $50, you send $50. If you choose credit card, well, then 180 will be added to your amount.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for the question. That makes a ton of sense.
Manuel, this
Yes.
is Judy from Rainy Day Village. Could you say again the fee for the credit card?
Yeah. Okay. For the credit card, is 2.9% of the amount plus 30 cents per
Great.
transaction,
Very
right?
much.
So now that's the fee that Helpful Village pays. You know, many of our villages have connected their Stripe account to accept donations and payments on their account. And they use Stripe, you know, that we can connect with Helpful Village stuff. But so basically, if you're using Stripe for your village, and you can apply for a nonprofit rate, and basically the fees you pay for your payments are 2.2% and 30 cents. I hope that was clear. You know what I'm saying is that in this case, this is Helpful Village charging. So we pay the fee is 2.9%. But when you are on your village website and you're accepting payments, you can have this nonprofit rate because you are the beneficiary of that payment. Whew, I hope that was clear. Okay, so that was for the invoicing system. We did the event management improvements. I see the chat is moving, but I cannot read it. If anyone reads something interesting in the chat, just, you know, jump on the conversation and just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. Okay, we have more fun stuff. The fun stuff now is we're going back to the emergency preparedness plan. Okay, so we need to switch our brains and then go back to where we were here before, right? So this is our discussion with the mayor, letting them know, well, that there is some emergency in the city, and you want to let them know what's the plan that your village has set up, right? And this is how we would do it with Helpful Village. Let me see here. Perfect. So this is how I would do it. If I was discussing with the Salt Lake City mayor, right, I would tell them, well, we are this community of 500 members, let's say, in my example, all older adults. And when there is an emergency or a fire or something, what we have done is that we have built some, you know, a number of neighborhoods in our city. This is optional, obviously. If your village doesn't want to have neighborhoods, you don't have to. But you have the possibility on Helpful Village to set these different neighborhoods and different areas. And something new that we added also this month is that, and this is in discussion with Sausalito and also La Morinda Village in California, they are designating actually local coordinators or basically cluster captains or buddy system, which is basically per neighborhood, you can define a person that is a person of contact for the whole neighborhood, right? For example, there was this situation in California where there was a power outage, and there was one volunteer basically that naturally went and checked in with different members of the village just because she felt that it was the right thing to do. And basically the village said, wow, this is a great idea. For the next time, we're going to designate an official local coordinator to check in with the different members. And this is this can be made you know, known to the system and basically to other members that you have your local coordinator. So in this case, there is me, and you know, anyone could go. I mean, there's my phone number and contact information. So basically, in the conversation with the mayor, we can say we have these different neighborhoods. For each neighborhood, we have designated a local coordinator, and this local coordinator, in kind of an emergency, they have a number of volunteers that are part of the village, and all this team basically is checking in on the number of members that we have in our village. So basically, you can do an interactive demo saying, well, these are all the members that we're helping in our city. And each one of these red houses is a member. If you click on any of those, you can have the information. In this case, my mom, that is a member with a phone number. So basically the local coordinator can either use this map in case of an emergency to check in with the different members, right? So this is basically the example of where we're at today with the emergency plans. I know different villages across the nations have implemented different emergency plans. So if you have other ideas, we are happy to learn about your plans. Maybe you have a PDF document describing your emergency plan. Don't hesitate to email that to us. If it gives us some other ideas to improve the software, we may do that. For example, there's another thing on this page that I didn't show yet, is that we have a description of the emergency plan. This is just an editable page where basically you can explain. This is a hypothetical also. Actually, Sausalito Village is working on an emergency plan, but this is just my text, right, for the example, where you can let your people know the different neighborhoods, who's the local ambassador for each one of them, and then basically what are they supposed to do in case of an emergency. So yeah, so this is what we can show today about this emergency plan. We're really excited about this feature, so we want to hear more from villages, and we will be doing improvements as we move forward.
Manuel?
Yes.
This is Margie from Bay to Sound Neighbors.
Hi, Margie.
How do you get to this? Like where in the menu?
So this is something that we'll add to the menu here. It's not added yet, but our service area, it's just some specific page that allows you to get here. Now I need to think a little bit. What's the best way to put it? Maybe maybe we put it here on the admin area. It's not on the menu yet. It's a great question, Margie. I think where to put it, and we'll describe that on the training doc. What we were focusing for now is a separate page that has this kind of map and interactivity. Perfect. So
another question.
Yes.
Sorry. So is the map automatically generated?
Yes and no. That great question, Margie.
Manuel, you might show the membership directory capability.
Yes, but yes. So there are two things. So first, thank you, Gail, for the suggestion. So Gail is with Sausalito Village. We have been discussing on these emergency plans and things. And going to the initial question for Margie, right, about the dynamic plan. So the plan is generated dynamically depending on where your members are. What I mean is that if your members are located in Massachusetts, right, the plan will not show Salt Lake City. It will show where you have your people, right? So it will show your city. Now, we are doing the geolocation of these members and volunteers. We have their geographical information because we have their address, right? So we are geocoding their address automatically. Now, for the neighborhoods, you need to work with us basically to let us know what's the surface of your polygon. So this is something that it cannot, it's basically something we need to enter specifically, like the neighborhood. But for all the rest, it's just automatically generated when you activate this feature. Now, yeah, Gail was saying, so this is kind of, our service area is kind of the most advanced system where you can have these different layers for neighborhoods, local coordinators, volunteers, and members. We have another possibility that is not as advanced, which is called which is basically geocoding of the member directory here. So if you go to the member directory, you will see also on a map the active members of the village. So you will not see the local coordinators, you will not see the volunteers, you will not see the neighborhoods, but only the members. I cannot show it on the demo site because it's some setting that I didn't activate or something. But it's already working on some of the villages. Already had a members directory where it's showing the geographical information. So
Manuel,
Yes.
Is there the opportunity to add the neighborhoods to that member directory map?
Well, no, because, basically the thing is, we don't want,
It doesn't have layers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So what I mean is that this is kind of a more complex page where, there's more coding involved. And then we want to keep the other one where, allows you to find the people, but it, it's just a simpler version. So yeah, so basically you have this one more complex, you need to come to this page. If you want to see the members directory, it's a simpler view. Answer that question.
Manuel, this is Carol from Riverside Village in Oregon.
Yes.
And you were thinking about where you might put that menu item to access that
Yeah.
emergency area. I would suggest that you would put it under the main menu where a volunteer could log in and see it. If you put it under admin, you wouldn't want them to have it there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So that's super interesting. Because the thing is that, another discussion we could have is who should be able to see this map, right? And we have different things. For one thing we did is that if you're an admin, basically you can see everybody, all the members, all the neighborhoods, all the local coordinators and everything, right? In a future version, these upcoming months, we'll do a version that is, visible to the members, right? Because the members benefit from the, the emergency plan and preparedness or something. But then we're not going to show as much to the member, right? For example, what we wanted to do is that, well, you can see other members, but only if they chose this option that allows them to be, not opt out of the member directory. You know what I mean? Is that we want to give the member the possibility to say, well, no, I don't want to be on this map for other members, but everyone will be visible there for admins, because in an admin case, it's it's just an emergency situation. So we need to have geographical information for everybody. So depending on that, it's like, that's where we need to, that question also is connected to where will we display that on the menu, right? For now, we'll start with a kind of an admin feature. And in future versions, we can open up a simplified version or enhanced privacy version to members.
This is Carol again. You might want to think about adding a rights management for the neighborhood coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So they could access this. And
yeah, you're right. Totally. Absolutely.
On it and see the contact information.
Yes, absolutely. So, we have done this big aspect, and then, this fine tuning on this visibility per member, per admin, and per local coordinator is something we will be adding. Definitely. That's great feedback, as usual, right? When we do these webinars, we get great input from villages. So if you have input beyond this meeting, right, and you're not discussing it today, don't hesitate to send an email to, you can send it to support@helpfulvillage.com, with these suggestions. And, we obviously fine tuning this new feature with your feedback. Great. So that was for the service area and the emergency plan. So now we're done with the big parts of the demo. Let me go back to the, oh, wait, I wanted to show something else on the demo, right? It's just a minor thing, it's not as exciting. Let me move this around, this box here. But I wanted to show kind of these editable pages. We did two minor improvements, but I think they are worth showing them because it's good. So all the pages on your website are editable, right? You can manage the title of the page and who can read it. If this page is only visible to admins or to your members or public, you can manage that here. And then you have this editor here that allows you to, change the text here and then say, well, emergency plans, Sausalito Village, and then say, well, this as Sausalito Village is something I want to change, and use color for this, and then put this in bold, right? So this is the usual editor. Now, the improvements we did are twofold. For people that are used to Helpful Village, first of all, you will see that there's no pop-up coming up. And I mean, obviously, you don't see it, so it's not as exciting. But people that were annoyed by the pop-up that we had before, they will not be annoyed anymore. And the other thing is something that is called a sticky toolbar, which is this button here, right? In the previous version, if you go to your current Village website editor, you basically scroll down, and then you scroll down, and then you had to scroll up again to find the buttons again, right, that are here. On this new version, basically you scroll, but the buttons stay there for you, right? So you see the buttons, bold, etc. So you can scroll down on your page, add some additional text here. What to do in case of emergency. And then you say, well, this is a header. Oops, heading 2. And then basically you see now you don't need to scroll all the way up to go to the buttons. You can do this from here, and then the buttons stick here. So that's convenient. And then you can change the color or do any other of the buttons. It's kind of funny for people that were not using the old editor. They probably don't understand what I'm saying. But for people that were using it before, were used to having to scroll up and down, they will be very happy with this improvement, I believe. Okay, so that's for the demo. And I need to come back to the presentation because we have three more things to share with you. The first is that about village maps. So we were showing the functionality, but it's not a free feature. So, you know, we have a ton of free services and there is a couple premium features on Helpful Village. And I wanted to mention this. So there are two things. First, there is a geocoding premium feature that existed before already, right? And this is what allows us to go with the address of the member, ask Google how to generate, you know, what the latitude and longitude of this address or something. So it's something that's called geocoding. And Google is billing us to do that, right? Every time we go and ask for latitude and longitude or etc. with Google Maps, they are charging us. And basically, this is a premium feature to your village that you can choose to activate or not. What Gail was saying before, when you have the members directory with the members geocoded, is an existing feature that you can have, and basically costs $5 per 1,000 location requests per month, which is basically we never ask for 1,000 geocoding of members because you don't have 1,000 new members every month. So basically, it comes back to $5 monthly fee in addition to your monthly fee. And then the second part is another premium feature that we are adding this month, which is the village map. So these maps with the different layers, right, with the local coordinators and stuff like that, is also a special page that is optional, but it's also a premium feature. So basically, we would be charging kind of $5 per month if you want to activate that page for your village. So yeah, so basically this is the explanation of the pricing. If you have other questions about activating this premium feature, you can obviously email us at support@helpfulvillage.com.
Manuel, this is Carol.
Yes.
So the two premiums,
Yes.
one is just putting the location of our member or volunteers on the map.
On the map, yes.
And the second one is actually drawing
the map, the advanced map.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and actually I should give more details. The first one is that you can have the first premium feature, the geocoding, and display the members' location on the members directory with this $5. You know what I mean? That works already. For the second feature, you need both. You know what I mean? If you want to show the village maps, you need to have also the other premium feature of geocoding, because you have the map, you're not showing where the people are located. Well, that is not fun. So basically, the geocoding premium feature can work with by itself with only that feature, but the village maps requires that you activate both the geocoding and the village maps. If you have questions, obviously we can see that by email or on Slack about that. So that was for village maps, and then this is a discussion of current priorities. What are we working on right now for the next month improvements? These three things. So we have a long list of improvement suggestions that villages have made over time, and these last few months have been a little crazy because we were adding village stock and some very big things. Now we will be working over this next month to review the list of improvements that have been suggested over the few months, and these are three that we're sure going to be made and we're part of that list. One is that when you have associated members, you can do that today. Basically, you have two people in your database that you're associated within the same household membership, but this could be made easier. It will be made easier over the next month. I already discussed today about the impact report. This is kind of a short report, but that allows to show you to your local authorities or grantors or donors, kind of in short, how many members you have, how many services you provided, how many event participations you had. And the last improvement that we're discussing here is the Google Analytics. So we will be able, not this month, but over the next month, to connect if you have a Google Analytics account. So it's basically the stats of how many visits your village has had, right? How many visitors, how many So basically, Google is capturing information. We can send you that, that information so that you can know how many visitors your village website has had, right? So we will be able to activate that. If you're interested in that feature, you can start contacting us through support@helpfulvillage.com. It will not be immediately available, but it's something that will be available soon. So just can start the conversation and letting us know.
Jim here in Taos with a question.
Yes.
The Village Impact Report, is that as of today, or is there a specified date range?
Oh, I need to check. It's not finished yet, right? Because it's not for this month release, but for the next month. I think we're doing kind of, for example, we're saying how many members and volunteers you have today, but then how many service requests and event participations you had over the last year, I think.
It would be more helpful if we could specify the range, the date range.
Okay, well, thank you for the feedback. So I'll try to integrate that to see if we can, how can we do that? Range, I'm writing that down, Jamie. I can see how it's a good idea. Just want to see how complex that can be on.
Manuel, this is Sheila. Can we go back a minute? I am a little confused on the $5 per thousand geocoding. Okay.
Yes.
So $5 per thousand location requests per month. So if I were to just wanted to view a map of my members.
Yes.
In month one, I would be charged $5.
Yes. So.
And then if I asked for the same map next month, I would be charged $5. Okay.
Yeah. So wait. So let me try rephrase it. So this month, right? Let's say that you have we are geocoding, I don't know, 25 new members you had, because we don't need to geocode the members you had last month. We already have their latitude and longitude, right? So we basically, how many requests we need to ask Google for saying, well, we don't know where this address is on the map. Just help us with latitude and longitude, right? And then that's a location request to Google, right? Now, basically, if we do between 0 and 1,000 location requests for your village, we will charge you $5. Then if we need to do 2,000 location requests for your village, well, then we charge you 10, right? Now I can tell you, what are the chances of geocoding 1,000 members or volunteers in a month? Well, very little, because, we have villages with, we have villages that have about 500 members, and they have never paid more than $5 for their geocoding feature. So, you know what I mean? $5 is pretty much what's going to happen.
And that's a $5 one-time fee, or
no, it's a $5 per month. So
per month, okay.
Coding, we basically have that. If you stay, let's say this month, and you do under 1,000 location requests, we will charge you 5 months. The next month, if you do under 5,000 location requests, we'll also add $5.
Do you automatically track changes in addresses?
Yeah.
So that if somebody moves, they get a new.
Yeah, if you're editing the address, yes. So that's we're doing that. Basically, when you go to let me show you two things. If you go here, I'm not sure I'm going to have it here. So here on the address. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is added with the geocoding. It comes along basically. So basically shows you a map of this member. I just pulled up my profile, right? And then it's giving me the address geocoded. So basically latitude and longitude where my address is. And now if I change this address and then say that I moved to a different street and then we save, we are at this point requesting Google to say, well, give me another, geocode this address again.
Is this only for members?
Yeah, I need to check that. I don't know if we have that for volunteers. It's a good question. By the way, it reminds me that there is something I did not include in the PowerPoint, but it's really interesting. So I can show you now if we still have a few minutes.
Manuel, Sheila, it would seem that you would have to include volunteers if you're going to do that emergency.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If you're doing the emergency plan, the volunteers will definitely be added. Yeah. So maybe the question is that, it's like, I guess if you have only geocoding for members, right, with the first premium feature, then we're only doing that for members. If we have geocoded, if you have the village maps And then we need the geocoding position for active volunteers, and then we will, basically that's working for volunteers too.
Question and a clarification of the third prior clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Was asking about the $5 a month geocode.
Yes.
And obviously the first time you're going to geocode everybody in the group, and if it's under 1,000, you charge $5.
Exactly.
Let's say next month we have no new members, so we have no need to geocode. Is there still
then we would start we would still charge $5. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Between 0 and 1,000. Yeah. Okay, I need your attention one more minute, because there is another great addition we did this month, and I have not shown it because it was not on the PowerPoint somehow. But basically now here, if you go to your your user profile that we had here before, we added something that is quite exciting here, I believe. And is that we had these tabs before: contact information, right, where the member can log in and see who's their emergency contact, and my phone number, etc. that you have. This is visible to me as a member. What's my membership status? What are my interest groups? So that existed before, but what we added this month is basically the activity. So now, basically, a member can go anytime and go to their user profile, as we saw, and basically see what are the upcoming activities that will happen to them. Basically, here in this case, we, there is a volunteer called Erla Rodriguez that is going to pick me up for a doctor appointment. So there is a service request happening tomorrow. So that's great. And then basically you have another entry here in upcoming activities, because I registered for this event, which is hiking in the forest. And this is going to show up also on my user profile. So that's quite exciting, because now you can tell your members, well, you want to know what's coming up for you in terms of service requests or events you have registered for. You can find that on your user profile. So that's quite cool. Yeah, and I have one extra. And like Steve Jobs would say, it's like, but wait, there is more. Like this same list of upcoming activities is something that we were so excited about that we added also up here. And now you have my agenda. So basically, if you're a member and you're logged in, you can click on my agenda. And then basically we're putting the same upcoming events information on our calendar view. So basically here you see the events you have registered for, and also the different service requests that are coming up for me in these upcoming weeks. So same information, same information we had on the user profile activity tab. You can here, right? You can see it in calendar view if you go here and here. So yeah. I almost missed that one, and it's quite exciting. Okay, yes, there's a question.
Carol again, and Nora again. Is that also available on the volunteer profile?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because here, in this case, it's showing when a volunteer is going to help me, but if it's me helping someone else, it will also show here on the activity side. It would say, well, service request, you are helping this other member for this other thing, right? And then you can click on it. And then when you click on it, it's going to open up the details of that service request. Wow. How could I almost forget this feature? It's an exciting one. Anyways, this reminds me that it's exactly time to finish our call, because it's we are at the exact right time to finish it. Before I finish, I wanted to say that this was a very exciting webinar today. Thank you for your question. If you have support, feedback or input for the emergency plans and improvements, just let us know. If you have other questions, clarifications for pricing or premium features, we can also clarify that either on Slack or by email or anything. Last reminder I wanted to make is that there is another webinar next week. On Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, it's Q&A. So we will be deploying to the server the new version this weekend. And if you have any questions about the new things we did or something, we can all meet next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Is that one through the V2V?
Yes, it's the V2V webinar. Thank you, Margie, because I forgot to say this is another series of webinars that we do in collaboration with V2V. And they require registration for the event. So you need to go to the V2V website and register with them, telling them that you are going to participate in that event, in that webinar. So yeah, definitely you need to go to their website and register with V2V. Perfect. So this was a great meeting today. I hope you are as excited as I am about the, the improvements we're adding to the software. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all very soon, hopefully next week already. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Manuel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.